Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to StudioSense. Another week's gone by, another pastel painting has been completed. Today I will be talking about a painting called Radiance for our pastel painting tips and demos, and I continue the winter snow scene series with Radiance. The photo here was taken at Marshview Meadow Park, just south of Ann Arbor. Same place as last week's painting, Tracks in the Snow. So when we look at this photo, it was late in the day, about 4 p.m. Sky was clear, very bright because the snow was on the ground and it was reflecting so much sunlight. In this particular photo, the late day sun generated really sharp shadow lines of the trees and the shrubs. The dark shade was very dark, and you got to watch out for photos because they could be actually black in the shade. And the highlights were really strong on the edges of the trees and at certain points of the sunlight within the shadows. There's a lot of bright highlights in various spots in the landscape at that time of the day. This could be a complicated type of a painting because of all the vegetation in the back especially, and the value differences did not appear to be that strong between the tree itself and the little vegetation in front of the tree versus the background vegetation. So we have to be careful that we convey these planes differently relative to the values in the final painting. So time to get to work. As I mentioned all the time, we're always going to have a little bit of homework to do before we start the painting, and that's going to start off with, in the upper left, a very simple sketch of this scene. And this sketch can't be much simpler than that, really. But I wanted to make sure that the placement of the tree, the main focus of the tree, the main tree in front, was in the first third of the canvas, and the distant tree in the latter third. So the right side and the left side balanced out. You don't want anything in the middle of the painting or in the composition. And the lines are important too. Notice the curved line, which represents the edge of the snow hill, drawn here, as well as there's planes behind that where there's going to be a couple of different levels of shrubs and additional snow, and then a final tree line in the distance. It was actually in the photograph itself. It was a railroad track that heads out behind the park. So there's a mound of hill and then the track, a flat area. So I didn't convey any particular railroad track in this painting, but you'll see these various planes and how they'll play out in the painting. Now the bottom part, this is where I've created 3 small pastels, and they were 3 by 4 inches each, really just to test out different colors and to try out warm and cool effects to see how I wanted to kind of convey this painting. And I decided that one of the sketches was more of a purplish blue, kind of a haze type of a effect that I wanted to convey in the final painting. On the right of that is my trusty screen. I've got a laptop and a widescreen where I place the digital reference photo, and we could vary that too. So in my practice, technology is a pretty important part of creating a painting. I do a lot of work in the studio, so I need to rely on reference photos, digital photos, and to modify them as best I can to get them the way I want them. What we'll not see here, we'll not see how I use Microsoft Paint 3D to actually draw in certain items in the landscape. So I'll take a photo of my painting in progress, put it on Microsoft Paint, and then draw additional items or shades of color or lights and darks to see how I might want to vary that painting when I go back and work on it. So here's some of the technology that I use. The Pastel Journal in the spring of this year, 2022, will feature an article about me where I'm talking about how I use my digital photography as well as my computer work at home to help figure out how I want a painting to look in the end. So here's one example. So here's the reference photo that you saw earlier. And again, beware that the darks could look black. The lights could be washed out, especially in a sky. You totally could lose the color of the sky in a photograph. So you need to either take notes or just kind of remember what the sky really looked like. And light clouds could get washed out too. So there's a lot of downsides to the digital photography, and that's why when you do some plein air painting, you really see a lot that you miss in a photo. But then I take the photo and I'll do a saturated value of version of it. So I'll go to the photo editor on my computer. I'll put the digital photo or the reference photo there, and then you'll modify the colors. And all you have to do is select saturate and put it all the way across the scale to make it the most saturated as it can be. And notice the blues that come out here. Again, there is blue in snow, and there's a lot of blue in this particular photo. In fact, you have to be careful that it could look very gaudy. The photo will look gaudy, but make sure your painting doesn't look as gaudy as the photo. But look how it picks out some of the orange colors in here. I'm going to try to see if I could use my pointer, see if that'll work. There you go. Some of the orange, red-orange in the foliage, and even back here in this distant tree, we could see some of that red effect. So there's a true orange hue to the edges, in particular, of this tree, the way the sun was shining behind it. It was out in the west, so the sun was out I'll use this again, out in this area and shining toward here. And so it really brought out some color, and also the color in the snow. It brought out some of the orange color from the bright sky at that time of day. So it really shows us the variety of colors that we could pick out in a particular snowscape. So this is the end result of Radiance. This is the final painting. There's your blue shadows here. I really liked and I'm going to use this highlighter again, the highlights in here of the snow on the tree and the snow on the branches. You can see some of this pink and orange color in here. This is more of a yellow-orange. And some of the challenges of this painting, first of all, this shrub back here, we didn't want it to look too distracting, so I softened it so the tree in front is a lot bolder and sharper. Again, a lot of sharp lines because of the contrast with the sun and the reflections of the snow. The tree back here also, it's got highlights on it, but I also softened that a bit too, because again, this is our focal point here. Okay, and then again, we all have all this shadow work here, and the background. So here's some of the planes. Here's the angle, which I enjoyed doing. So here's this painting. This tree is in the first third here. This tree is in the last third of the horizontal landscape or landscape shape of the painting. Then we have curved line out here to represent this lower field. This curved line here, of course, being the main hill where the trees are. And then out here, what I wanted to do is have an opposite type of an angle. So I took this tree line and I raised it up as we went along here. It's a little softer here, but here it's raised. So we have an angle here, angle here, angle here, and that's where the trees are sitting. And then way back here is a distant tree line, and that is actually the railroad bed right there. And I threw a little bit of more highlight here to build a little bit of contrast and show that different plane a little more strongly there, and played around with some of the snow effects, snow lights, the snow blues, if you will, out in that particular distant tree line. So that's Radiance. It's a 9x12 original pastel. And as always, to find out more about my work and to contact me, and I certainly welcome you to send me an email if you have any questions about this technique or approach, or what tools I use, and we'll see some more of those in future videos. Just reach out on Instagram so we can follow these weekly paintings. A new painting per week comes through, so become a follower, and you'll see what these paintings look like, and then you'll likely see what the next video is going to be about. Thanks very much for tuning in, and have a good day.